here.
I get the picture. No, I don't mean that at all. Those things happen and will happen more and more as the end of days approaches. I mean, in the average day for the average person. Although, I think you're all pretty spectacular.
Okay, well you said it, at the end of days. I mean, what is all that about?
The time for this earth, as it is right now, is rapidly winding down. The plan is clearly spelled out in my word. Have you read about it, Tim?
No. I mean, I've heard stories, but now, well, let's get back to the topic at hand, shall we?
Miracles?
Yes, exactly.
What else can I tell you, Tim? Miracles happen daily.
Oh, you mean like a baby being born?
Yes. Life itself is a huge miracle. In the eyes of man.
In the eyes of man?
Yes. When I created man of the dust of the earth, that was something to behold. That was incredible. But well, you're right, babies are miracles. The science of it is amazing to most of you, but just the ability to bear children, for some, that can be a challenge. But with God, all things are possible. I'm thinking of a particular family. Faith like this couple has shown is wonderful to see.
I hold here in my hand an envelope from a doctor's office which states that I would not be able to physically produce any children.
And the doctor said that I would never carry full term. But with faith, God has promised us that we would be able to have children, and 4 times the report was proven wrong with these miracle children right here.
Wow. I guess faith pays off.
The best part is that even if they had no children, I know they would have stood on their love and trust in me all of their days.
But then how would we know since they received what they were asking for? So then basically healing people and creating life are what you do in the area of miracles these days.
No, Tim. Miracles happen all around you in the people you pass on the street and in the lives of people all over the earth.
Okay, like...
Well, I'm thinking of a man, an extremely intelligent man, who found himself in the drug scene. Buying, selling, you name it, but addicted in every sense of the word.
I went to college from 1968 to 1972, and if you're familiar with American history, you know what those times were like. It was all, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I was certainly going down that pathway. I was a good student all through college. I graduated with an A average. But during that time, a friend of mine and I had motorcycles, and our motorcycles were stolen. And he and I kind of made the decision that we'd deal drugs until we earned enough money to buy motorcycles again. Well, we did that after our first deal, but we kept going. He and I had a lot of drugs at our disposal. We had, used, and sold every drug that was out there except for heroin. I did any kind of drug, any kind of way, except I never used a needle. So I thought that because I wasn't, using heroin or shooting drugs, I thought I was okay. And because I was a good student, I just assumed everything was all right and that my drug use was recreational. One thing, though, I lost some friends. I had people who changed and were never the same people after an LSD trip or something like that. I never paid too much attention to that. I always thought it would never happen to me. I was even arrested once, and had the police actually found all the drugs we had in our possession at the time I was arrested, I would have been in jail. It was 1970, and I'd have been getting out of jail about right now. We had a lot of drugs. In 1973, at a Full Gospel Businessmen's meeting, I was introduced to Jesus Christ through the preaching of the gospel. It changed me around. I can't say that it was dramatic overnight because I still kept using drugs, but about a short time later, at a New Year's Eve water baptismal, I was water baptized, and at that time I decided to burn all those bridges and to fully commit my life to Jesus Christ. I did burn those bridges, And in fact, a friend of mine and I took all of our paraphernalia and all our drugs, we put them in a garbage can, soaked them with gasoline. I'd done that kind of thing before, so I knew what to expect. I tossed a match in, the match went out. Tossed another match in, second match went out. My friend and I looked at each other, said, "What's going on?" We prayed. We rebuked Satan and commanded it to burn in Jesus' name. Tossed in the third match, and it literally exploded. So we really kind of knew what was behind the whole drug scene right there. At that point, I never went back. I burned those bridges. I never went back. My life was really changed in some dramatic ways. So I credit Jesus with that, and I thank God that I have a relationship with him.
Wow, that's quite a story. He probably would have never thought he needed anything more than those drugs in his life.
He's a good son.
Oh, you know his parents.
No, I mean, he's mine. I know his parents too, but never mind. What else can I tell you about it?
Well, that was a lot, Jesus. I mean, Pastor Ron was a good man, and you came to his aid, and Terrence wasn't a very good man, and you came to his aid as well.
It's because of love, Tim. I love mankind.
Okay. Well, what else can we hear about? Can you tell me some other situations that could be called miracles?
Sure. Here's one that happened recently. Many of your viewers will know this one, but it never hurts to remind them.
Okay, go ahead.
A few months back, one of my sons was driving down a very busy street. On his way to work, he looked away for a moment, and
I looked away for a moment, and when I brought my head forward, there was a full-size pickup truck directly in front of me, and I did not have time enough to brake, and I ended up going from 50 miles an hour to 0 in about a split second. And I found myself in a severe car accident. I knew it wasn't good. I came to after impact and was with it for a short period of time. By the grace of God and the goodness of God, there was a nurse and an EMT who were right at the scene of the accident, and they were there to come and try and help me. The nurse was with me, and I lost consciousness shortly after impact, and in that time, for about a minute, I stopped breathing. My heart had stopped, and my eyes were completely dilated, meaning that there was no brain activity. So I was dead for about a minute, and as I was in the vehicle, they were ready to defibrillate me and intubate me, which is just basically meaning they were going to resuscitate me because I was non-responsive. And as they were getting ready to do that, the nurse realized that I was starting to breathe again and that there was air coming out of my lungs. So they stopped that, and shortly after I came back to, and I was alive. So they got me out of the truck, and they had helicoptered me to ECMC where they treated me, and I was actually released the next day from the hospital with no broken bones, no bruises, no internal injuries, nothing really to speak of, just some minor things. I was released the next day, and it was quite a miraculous series of events. Since then, I've had the opportunity to meet the nurse who's there at the scene, and she didn't think I was going to make it out of the accident. She didn't think I was going to live. So she looked at me and just told me, just with tears in her eyes, that I was a miracle. So I guess that I'm a miracle.
Incredible. What can be said to follow that? How can anyone doubt that was you? If even a medical person calls it a miracle, how could we think it was anything else? Now, why wasn't that splashed all over the covers of papers everywhere?
because for the most part, the media wants to share the heart-wrenching stories of the day. They have unknowingly put the public in a place of fear. The economy, wars, rumors of wars. It's a scary world for men to live in right now.
What interest is there for them to report that a good man was in an accident, died, and returned to life in a matter of moments? not sensation.